WED Talks. We are diving deep into the stories, challenges, and triumphs of women and our allies in the defence and security sector. Empower, elevate, excel.
Hi, I'm Gemma, and I'm your host of WED Talks. Welcome to episode 1, the Genesis of WED, where I speak to Nat and Jodie, the visionary co-founders of Women Empowering Defence. We'll chat about why they set up WED, and also their passion, drive, determination, and their hints and tips as to what you might want to think about. Discover the origins of the WED movement that's currently reshaping the landscape of the defence sector one story at a time. I'm currently here with Jodie and Nat, privileged to speak to the co-founders of WED, Women Empowering Defence. So WED, described as a collective force uniting individuals across defence and security sector with a shared mission to champion gender equality and celebrate the diverse achievements of women. So Jodie, Nat, hi, tell me about WED. Why did you set WED up?
Why didn't we set WED up, I think, is the answer. I think in terms of looking at opportunities and providing initiatives for women, but not just women, all genders, all backgrounds across the defence sector, I think it was absolutely needed. And I think we were in the right spot at the right time to do it.
And I think it's needed across the sector as a whole as well, with defence being, police, justice, defence as in military, and a whole host of other areas.
What do you think are the kind of unique challenges that face people in those sectors?
I don't think it's unique. I think that it's probably a different way that people react to certain situations. I think, what we tend to deal with through Women Empowering Defence are challenges that are probably faced in every sector. It's just sometimes it's how people interpret and react to it. And I think that's what makes us a little bit different.
Interesting. And what drives you both talk, and you've got this kind of passion about what you're doing, about WED, about empowering people. What drives that passion? Where does that come from?
I think for me, an element of it is that I didn't grow up having role models, in a sense. So I'm from a family of 7. I have 5 brothers. So I was definitely outnumbered in terms of the boys against kind of the girls. And for me, I think with the boys, it was very much they were given the opportunities where I was kind of seen as a second thought. So I think for me, I wanted to grow up. And I think having people I didn't potentially want to be like and seeing situations potentially that I didn't want to be in, that was enough for me to kind of really think outside the box, think actually I'm going to strive to kind of want and to do more, but then also making sure that actually providing the opportunity for others like that at the same time.
Yeah, that's interesting. Nat, how about you?
Yes. Quite the opposite to Jodie. I was the eldest of 3 daughters and grew up in a household where we were pushed to succeed. Not so it was, bordering on, you will get there and you will do this, but really encouraged all the time. And there wasn't any form of failure, but it was what would you do different to make it better next time? And so I, really feel passionate about instilling that in others to actually enable them to be their best selves.
And I think both of us being mums of girls, I think that is a driver at the same time as well, that actually it's about that next generation as well, not having to face some of the obstacles that as women are facing now.
Yeah, leaving the world in a better place than when we arrived.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's quite evident in some of the topics that we've started to tackle. One key one being the menopause. You only have to open a paper or the radio and they're really honing in on, we need to get better at menopause. We need to manage it better in the workplace. We need to have the conversations and make those conversations the norm. We don't want that for our girls. We want that to already be in place when they are, talking or at that age in 15, 20 years' time. We want to have done it now for then.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I just want to kind of explore a little bit about you guys and your lives, and you both mentioned that you're mums of daughters. But Jodie, if I start with you, so my understanding from a little bit of LinkedIn is that you're currently a contracts manager for Leidos, who describe themselves as an innovation company who address challenges in national security and health. What does that mean? What do you do?
So procurement.
Mhm.
So I work in the world of procurement. So contracts manager, essentially delivering the outputs on contracts that have been placed. So actually seeing that end-to-end delivery. So I work within the LCST space, so in the commodities program. It's actually very interesting and I really enjoy it. And Leidos are an incredible company to work for.
Mhm.
I'm very new to the company, but within sort of my short period that I've been there, I feel extremely valued, and actually I'm part of the team already. And for me, that speaks volumes.
Yeah, that's awesome, isn't it? And the other thing I noticed from your LinkedIn profile, and I had heard a little rumor before, is your tribute act. Tell me about that.
So I don't promote it that much, although I did just do a post at the weekend on LinkedIn. So I think in terms of sort of my socials, I should do more. But I've been singing since I was a young girl. I think I went to one of my brother's kind of schools when I was about 12 or 13. And they did like the PTA, were organising events to raise money, etc. And that was with part of the PTA, so she'll get this. But they did a karaoke night, and I can remember saying, I'm going to sing.
Mhm.
And obviously, mum and dad didn't know I could sing at the time. And I think I chose one of the biggest songs to sing as my first kind of showpiece, which was Jennifer Rush, The Power of Love.
Wow,
To
okay.
the point then everybody's like, that girl can sing. And then I just got hooked. I just loved, again, I suppose, I spoke about earlier not having sort of role models to kind of look up to. But then if I kind of take it into the musical world, then I suppose I had those role models essentially, or those figures that I would kind of not aspired to be, but I kind of got it. So like your big singers, like your Aretha Franklin's, like your Bette Midler, to the Mariah Careys, that's kind of the sort of stuff that I grew up with. And I challenged myself that actually that I wanted to just sing like them. And the bigger the song, the bigger the challenge it would be for me. So I absolutely do. I love Adele. And I started my tribute show back in 2016. And it's taken me to some incredible places, and I've met some incredible people along the way. And I just feel very appreciative because I'm not going to do it forever. And I just think, you know what, while I can do it, I'm going to do it. And that's the kind of confidence that I want to kind of instill in my girls, that actually you can do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to do something. And don't get me wrong, I do get afraid, and I do get imposter syndrome going out on stage. I've had many moments where I've done some theatre shows, and 15 minutes while I'm sitting there on my own in my dressing room, all of a sudden I'm talking to myself in a mirror like, Jodie, you can do this. You can get through this. You won't forget your lyrics. You'll be fine. And then once I'm on stage, I'm absolutely fine. But yeah, it's definitely, it's not a job. It's definitely a hobby. And I just feel, yeah.
And the way you overcome those imposter syndromes, that's all that kind of self-affirmation talk.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like just giving myself a talk to. And don't get me wrong, I'm petrified sometimes when you're going out to a big crowd of 1,800 plus. It is daunting.
It's a lot of people.
It is a lot of people, and all eyes are on you. So you've got to, so sometimes you've got to give yourself that pep talk to think, you know what, you can do this. Not a case of, I won't do it. You can do this.
That's awesome. And Nat, have you heard Jodie's tribute?
I have. So yeah, no, last year, back end of last year, I went with Jodie to one of her shows. I'm going to put it out there. I am not an Adele fan. There's probably 2 songs that I like that she did sing for me. So, but yeah, it was awesome, as you'd expect.
I would expect, yes.
Thank
Excellent.
you.
And Nat, so I understand that you're an associate director for Mace, and Mace describe themselves as experts in shaping the build environment. So what is that? What do you do?
So Mace are predominantly known for being in the construction industry. What they are less known for at the minute, and what I am really trying to amplify, is the amazing work that they do across the defence and security sector. So I joined Mace as an associate director in February last year, so I've nearly done a year, and was predominantly put straight back to work in the MOD. And I landed in an amazing team, met some great new connections. And it is an amazing company to work for. It was a massive risk for me to leave the civil service. It's one that has paid off. And I think if you were to cut me open now, I'd probably say Mace inside, because I love everything they stand for and their values.
That's brilliant, isn't it? 2 people who've just spoken so passionately about their companies.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. I wish I'd done it a long time ago.
Yeah. and with Mace, I've had such an amazing opportunity in such a short space of time, to really sort of embed into their values and their culture, working really closely with the military at Mace Network, and that was something that I sort of straight away landed and wanted to get involved with. And I really want to amplify the work that they do for veterans as we go through WED and take them on that journey.
I think really similar for Lidos. I've been there 3 months, and within 3 months, I've really seen a difference in myself, which I think for me is a big thing, because when you're within a career and you've been there for a long time, you really get kind of stuck in the moment. But being there for 3 months and going back to that point in terms of the military and the veterans, I've already been pulled into the Lidos Women's Network. So they've obviously got multiple ERGs there. But the stuff that they are doing is fantastic. And it's just great to see.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And Nat, I know that you've just been on like a couple of cruises in the space of a couple of months. And I'm just like, I sometimes look at your social media posts and just think, wow, awesome. Where is the best place you visited on a cruise boat?
Oh, it's so hard to answer. And you're right, have done 2 in 2 months. Very different, Christmas and New Year I spent going around the Caribbean, and I just literally this weekend come back from the Canaries.
Nice.
But again, the last one I went with my sister, so it was, a bit of a girls' holiday. I am a massive fan of the Middle East. I love Oman and Bahrain and Qatar and Dubai.
And is travel your sort of how you relax and how you wind down?
I work to travel. So the cruise I've just done was cruise number 50.
Wow.
Over a few years. I've been cruising since 2010. So
50 cruises since 2010.
Yeah.
That is an impressive number. So I am sat with 2 amazing ladies that have achieved amazing things and kind of really want to share that and share that passion, and that's what WED is about. What, for yourselves, what makes a really good leader? What makes somebody be that person that you want to follow into battle, whether that's, literal or metaphorical battle that you really want to work for?
I think there's a number of qualities that make a good leader. We can probably sit and reel off a lot, but the one thing that person has to have is understanding and compassion. No matter what you take to a leader, they've got to be able to adapt and, react in a way that is for that situation.
I agree.
In the right way.
Yeah, completely.
Everybody's come across leaders that they'd rather not come across again. And most people can pick somebody that they've, really taken to, and that person's been there to guide them and to inspire them without telling them what to do, where to go. So I think that's quite key, is somebody that is really good at listening, inspiring, not judging, being compassionate.
I think there's multiple traits that you can call out from being a great leader. And I think I completely agree with what you're saying. I think that's something that we're very aligned, I think, in that approach. But I think being authentic, being your authentic self, having integrity.
But allowing others to be their authentic selves and bring their authentic selves with them, whatever that may be, whatever quirk somebody's got,
But like leading by example, isn't it?
Yeah.
So can you give me an example of someone that you've worked for that's been amazing? I'm putting you on the spot here.
Do you know, there's somebody that I work for now who is a current civil servant, quite new in the role, but I actually really like his approach. He's trusting, he's understanding, he puts himself into the situation of others, and he always puts his team first. And I think, having somebody that's a leader that's inspiring you, that's, you always think, don't you, well, somebody that's a lot older than me. Actually, this guy, I actually find him quite inspiring, as a leader of his team. And also there's a guy at Mace who has been through some personal challenges and isn't afraid to share what he's been through with people. But again, it's just so pragmatic and easy to talk to, and his door's always open if you need to talk to him. And I quite like
I think
that.
you can't ask more
No,
in a leader from that, can you?
no.
To make themselves available, be there.
Either.
And that's
Yeah.
really important.
Yeah.
Really important.
You know, we've probably got
I think-
examples of where not to be a leader and who
I
not to
agree.
follow. You know,
But I think
probably a
that
lot.
really displaying those traits, that's how you're going to empower others. That's how you're going to empower your team.
Build that kind of psychological safety that someone can come and have a conversation with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think Gareth will go far because he's got those traits.
Shout out to Gareth. Good job.
Absolutely.
And I can say Nat has mentioned this before, so well done, Gareth.
Well done, Gareth. Yeah. We want to work for Gareth. How about you, Jodie? Anyone spring to mind?
I've worked with multiple great individuals, each bringing something very different, I think, in themselves to it at the same time. But I think it's listening, and like you said, that empathy, that compassion, that authenticity. So I think over my career, whether that's been within the civil service or even prior to that, I think there's been multiple, but then actually even having a good mentor that displays those similar approaches as well. I think that speaks volumes.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I've done some mentoring and I've been mentored, and I just find it really, really useful just to get that additional perspective. Yeah, the qualities that make a great mentor, I think, probably do overlap quite significantly with the qualities that make a great leader. Interesting. So, in terms of WED and empowering others, tell me, what advice would you give to people that are out there in terms of being able to be the best version of themselves? And that a term that you used earlier, get people to be the best version of themselves. What kind of advice?
I think Jodie touched on it, is first off, get yourself a mentor, but only do it if it's the right time for you to do it and only with the right person. Because if you don't gel with your mentor, it's just never going to work. Get yourself a really good network, and, it doesn't necessarily have to be people that you have known a long time. There's nothing more powerful than being asked to do something and you're not quite sure.
Yeah.
But actually having the knowledge that you know who you can go and ask.
Reaching out to whether those peers, other people in different teams. I think network is key.
Yeah, 100%.
It's that power of network.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's that quote, isn't there, about you want to have people that will stand up for you when you're not in the room, and people that will really champion your cause, whether you're there or not.
100%. And that is one of the key features of WED. When we say we're open to all genders, we absolutely mean that. And for us, the most important thing for us is having male allies, because we need them to be those sponsors in the room. They have to be there and they have to be on our side.
How about you, Jodie? What's the one bit of advice you give to people in terms of becoming their best selves?
I completely agree. I think the power of network is really critical. But I'd also say don't be afraid. And when I say don't be afraid, it's okay to step outside of your comfort zone. And I think that's how you're going to grow in terms of propelling that forward. So I think don't be afraid, but also really, I think the power of network, is really paramount. And for me, I think power of network is huge for me personally.
That support, those peer mentors.
Just having someone to bounce off, even if, if you come up with something and you think, oh, is that right? Should I reword it? Just being able to reach back and say, look, I've got this. What do you think? Or actually back up your own thoughts and ideas.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. So in terms of yourselves, what is it that you do to help yourself grow? And you talked about maybe pushing yourself outside the comfort zone. You talked about these affirmations, Jodie, but what else do you do to keep yourself growing professionally, personally?
What don't I do? I think. What do we do? I think we're always looking for opportunities. And I think WED really provides not just for our audience or our members, but actually for us at the same time. And I think we've really evolved and come on a long way since we've launched WED. So actually who we've been working with. So some of these individual speakers from these companies through our corporate partners in terms of what they're doing. And whether that's really focused on sort of the D&I agenda or that wider, that self-development and leadership, I think we've both really picked up some great nuggets along the way.
the type of things that we do around adversary, imposter syndrome, confidence,
bias, recognizing bias, a whole wealth of topics and things.
They are for everybody. It doesn't matter what stage you are at your career. It doesn't matter who you work for. They're all things that impact everybody at some point in time.
We did an event last week with a lady called Emma Hossack, and the title was, remind me,
Cut the BS and find your superpower.
And do you know what? That really opened up a lot of thought for me. I was thinking, okay, I kind of think I do this, but do I actually do this? So it really kind of makes you think that actually you can do this. And it is okay to do this as well without being judged for doing something at the same time, which I think as women, that imposter syndrome comes in all the time in terms of that reflection, or if I do this, am I going to be judged for doing it?
Fearing the judgment.
Exactly. And I suffer with that at times. I'm not afraid to say that.
And how about you, Nat? What's your personal professional growth?
So I remember my mum saying to me once, "You're a professional student." And it's always stuck with me. And I'm actually currently doing the Chartered Management of Leadership qualification at the moment through Mace. Again, something that my manager at Mace was really keen for me to get involved with. But again, the things that we've done through WED, or especially on the leadership side of things, having the playback of our events, our virtual events, so I can go back. Obviously, last week I was on a cruise, so I missed it, but I have watched it back. But having that facility to then go back to my, studies and actually link together has been really useful.
A perpetual student strikes me as the kind of thing we all ought to be, really, constantly learning. Whether that's formal.
Telling me, can you go and get a job now, love?
Well, possibly, but
I think we're always continuously learning.
We are, aren't we? Yeah, whether that's formally or not, we are, constantly on that journey of new information learning, aren't we?
Yeah, completely agree.
Especially in our sector as well. Things change all the time. New policies come out, new processes come out. So you're always having to read and keep up to date and, keep moving with the times to keep yourself current. I think that applies to every sector, really.
Yeah. So with WED, so the people that are listening, hopefully we've got some WED members. Hello to you all. But also if we've got people that perhaps this is sort of the first time they may have come across anything that WED have produced or done, how do people get more involved?
I think there's multiple ways that they can get involved. Check out our website, so www.womenempoweringdefence.com, where you'll find a wealth of information about who we are, what we do, why we're doing it, and then the opportunities in terms of what you can get involved with, whether that's our events, listening to our podcast series,
taking part in our podcast series,
part of our interview series. But again, all of the sort of the sign up, and again, it's all completely free. We do not believe, and this is something we're hugely passionate in, is that we don't believe in putting a cost on any of our events, any of our memberships, because no individual should be paying to upskill or self-develop within their careers. We want to provide that is that power of connection, those opportunities, those initiatives. Some of the stuff that we're working on at the moment to bring to the future WED in terms of those more meaningful, tangible takeaways, where actually it supports that leadership development. So I think absolutely have a look on the website. You can find us across all of our social streams, but even going back to the power of connection, if you're on LinkedIn, reach out, send us a connection. We'll have a chat with you.
Awesome. And Nat mentioned come and talk on our podcast. So this is podcast number 1 of the first series, but I'm really keen to hear from you. If you want to have a chat with me, talk to me about any aspect of how we can help empower others, how we can help each other to grow, how we can help each other to learn. So give me a shout, through LinkedIn, and we can hook up for a podcast. If you're really lucky, we go for an Italian meal first, which is what we've just done. Okay, so just a couple more questions before we wrap it up. So I feel really privileged to know you guys and to have seen some of the sort of more recent journey with WED, and hugely proud of what you've managed to achieve. I'm wondering, what are you most proud of?
I think, in such a short space of time, from going from nothing to where we are today, with the amount of members, with the amount of engagement, with some amazing corporate partners from across the sector, we've got to take that. It's grown really quickly, and the buy-in's been there. And actually, that's not just down to Jodie and I. We've got a leadership team, Gem, of which you are part of. You know, we can't do this by ourselves. We have to grow that leadership team and ensure that everybody is involved.
And as much as we are passionate about driving this forward, this isn't our day job. We're all volunteers on this. We're all volunteering our own time because we believe it's the right thing to be doing. And I think it's in our DNA that we just have to do it.
Yeah.
So I think in that, I agree. I think in the short space of time, in terms of what we have achieved, but also what is forecast as part of our strategic plan moving forward, I think we should be proud. We'll take it.
Yeah, you should take it. You should be really proud. And so just to wrap it up, thank you both so much for talking to me. And I just wanted to get you both to finish just with a bit of a quote, maybe something that someone said to you that's inspirational, maybe maybe a famous quote, whatever you like, but just give me a soundbite.
I think for me, and I think I come across this quite a few years ago, and it really stuck. It's the quote from Madeleine Albright that there's a special place in hell for women that don't support other women.
Absolutely.
Love that. Thanks, Jodie. Nat, do you have one?
Yeah, so in early December last year, I was really lucky to attend leadership course with a guy called Chris Larson of Leap 76. He got us to do lots of things that were really outside of our comfort zone and got us standing up and telling stories and things. And I remember telling one particular story of an activity that I took part in overseas on a posting. And he turned around to me and he said, "Wow, you really put priority before pride." And that, I don't know, it just stuck with me.
Yeah, priority before pride. Nice. Thank you both so much. It's been a real privilege to speak to you both. Thank you all for listening. Please do share the podcast, tell people that we're out there, and leave us a comment and tell us what you thought. The next episode of WED Talks, I'm going to be speaking to two really inspirational women about recruiting the right talent, identifying talent, and keeping that talent within organisations. So please do tune in. And if you've got any suggestions for future topics, future people that I can speak to, or if you would particularly like to come and chat to me on WED Talks, do get in touch via the WED website or via LinkedIn. And I really look forward to speaking to you again next time.
Thanks for joining us. Stay tuned for more episodes coming soon.